Hey everybody, Jake here, and today we're going to take a look at the Kizer KI3411-2. ZT can suck a butt. Um, this is a fantastic knife, and we're going to go over that starting now, I suppose. Real quick, we'll take a run over some specs first, then go down here and do a size comparison. I need to get it straight. Okay, so real quick, just some specs on this knife. Overall length is going to be 6.5. Blade length is 2.5, which is great in areas if you can't have longer than 3-inch blades. The actual cutting edge, though, including the belly, like if it were straightened out, it'd be 2.75. Blade thickness is 0.12, so kind of a fairly thick blade there. The handle length is going to be 4 inches. Handle thickness is 0.48, which is almost half an inch. And we have a couple different materials going on here. The top, the black here, is going to be G10. The liners are titanium, as well as the back spacer. And the blade here is going to be S35VN. Weight is going to be 3.27. Which is pretty light for a knife this size. And it is tip up carry with optional tip down. It came stock tip up. And it's a liner lock. We'll touch on more of that stuff in just a minute though. Okay, so up next we'll have some size comparisons. So here's the Kizer, which I'm going to refer to as the Kizer here out. I'm not going to call it the KI3411-2, whatever. So this is the CRKT Fulcrum 2, which I already have a review of for that. Next up, let's go ahead and pull out a much smaller knife. This is the Kershaw Cinder, which I'm looking forward to reviewing very soon. This is a super tiny knife. Little bitty thing. Surprisingly good though. Next up, we have the Gerber EAB Light. I have a review trash talking that one as well. And, of course, the TAC Force TF820. So even though this knife may look a little large compared to some of the others, you can see it is not. It's not a big knife, because this TAC Force, probably better if I put this one on top. This TAC Force absolutely destroys this poor little Kizer. And everything except for handle width. This one's actually a little bit more narrow in some spots. Alright, for the last size comparison here, we do have a Dr. Pepper bottle cap, which some of you may like Dr. Pepper. If you don't, I'm not sure what's wrong with you. And then, next up, let's pull out this WASD keycap puller, which is surprisingly about the same length, maybe a tiny bit shorter. Okay, in all seriousness here, let's go ahead and get into the like, neutral, and dislike regarding this knife here. First up, the thing I like, the materials are fantastic. Love this. This is by far the most high-end knife that I've had, so I might come across a little bias. I apologize. I'll try to give you the least biased review possible. But in between the titanium, the G10's okay, but the titanium and the S35VN are just great. That's just fantastic materials, especially for the price, which we'll touch on very soon. It's just a great knife. So next thing I like is the weight. Despite how heavy this looks like it should be, it's really not. It's not super lightweight, but barely over 3 ounces. And especially for a knife that's this wide, which is ridiculous. It's astounding. Next thing is the build quality. The tolerances here are fantastic. The sharpening is symmetrical. Everything's nice and flush for the most part. There's some stuff we'll touch on the clip towards the end. If that gives anything away. And the blade centering is pretty good. Speaking of build quality, the lockup is fantastic. Really, really good. Comes right to that 50% mark. Also has the option for tip-up carry, which is great. Okay. Next up is going to be the jimping. Now this is a grippy knife. It may not look super grippy, but that diamond pattern grips like crazy. I don't think you'd have any problem holding this in gloves. There's jimping here. There's jimping on the back of the blade. There's jimping right there. There's jimping back here. And there's a tiny extra, just a single jimp. Just one jimp down there. And in between the jimping and this pattern here, it'd be hard to get this knife out of your hand if you didn't want it to be. And even when you do want it to be, sometimes it'll get attached. But it's a very, very grippy knife. There's some downsides to that, which we'll touch on momentarily. But you don't have to worry about it coming out of your hand. Ergonomics are pretty good. Because of that, it's just not going to fall. It's great. Next up is actually going to be the bronze washers. This is not a bearing knife, which is okay at this price, but the bronze washer is just pretty smooth. And you can say what you want about Chinese companies. I've doubted them in the past, but this Kizer is really proving me wrong because the action on this thing is fantastic. And it's not drop shut smooth, but with a little coaxing, you can get it to close on its own, which is good. Next up is going to be the blade finish. It's like a stonewash kind of thing they have going on here, which is, it's okay. I don't really have anything against stonewash blades, but on this particular model here, it fits in really well with the titanium. It just matches. So I think here it's a great exception. Last thing on the like list here, or last two things rather. First one is the sharpening choil here. That helps out a ton. It's not too small, not too big, doesn't waste any space, nice size. And last thing on the like list is the price. I picked this up at a local knife store for $80. And for these materials at that price, that's a freaking steal. For titanium and S35VN, that's just great. So I jumped on it at that price after I tested it out a little bit, of course. But you can get them online. You cannot get this one with this color, as far as I can tell. I haven't had any success finding any. But I know for a fact at Blade HQ they have a green G10 version, which they do have in stock, and they also have larger versions of this knife. I don't know how well that would go over because the dimensions look like they're proportionally the same. And I gotta be honest, if you make this handle any wider, it's gonna be ridiculous. I mean, it's already a pretty wide handle, but if you make it much wider, it's gonna be something. But this is, to me at least, after carrying it for a while, it seems like a hard use kind of knife. So maybe bigger is better in some cases, as far as the knife goes. But yeah, you're looking at about $100 for the green G10 version, which is fine. I believe Blade HQ actually has it on sale at the moment for like $85, and the larger ones are $100. But I believe the retail price for this one when it was in stock was $100. So I'll save a little bit on it, but even at $100, I would definitely recommend the knife. It's great for the price, and again, the materials, you really can't beat that. Growing up in the States, we've heard a lot, or at least I have, about the Chinese quality because everything is made in China here, for the most part. But this knife really impressed me. I'm definitely going to buy more Kizers in the future. I've heard a little bit about them. I know they're a somewhat newer brand, but this knife's just, the quality of it is astounding. Now let's go ahead and get some stuff I'm kind of neutral towards. Only a couple things here really. The blade shape, and first off, the thumb stud. I'm not a big fan of thumb studs, just thought I'd enter in the neutral category because I really wish this were a flipper. And it does have a small protrusion, which sometimes you can kind of push on and then flick and get it out, but more often than not you can't. It is a thumb stud, and you know, it's an okay thumb stud. It's great for opening slowly if you're in an office or something, or you know, around people that aren't used to knives. That'll work great. Or you can put just a little bit of opening force on it and flick it and it comes right open, which is great. Next thing I'm kind of towards is the blade shape. This is very weird. I'm kind of hold this as straight as I can. There's a slight recurve, which I don't know how well I'll trying to try to show you there. Goodness. And then there's a whole lot of belly on this knife. So you can see the recurve is right about here. And then a massive belly. And there isn't really a swedge to greet the point, which I think would have helped a lot. So as far as piercing, you're not going to get very far with this. But for cutting, slicing, it's, you know, pretty good. But getting into stuff to slice it, yeah, I've run into some difficulties. But that's about it for the stuff I'm kind of neutral towards now. There are a couple things that I dislike. And to be honest, most of it is with the clip. I hate this clip. You'll see it's very small, just to give you some more kind of clip comparisons. Or one. Here's the CRKT, the Fulcrum 2. Now these knives are very close in length. But the clips almost double the length on the CRKT. Kind of trying like that. Well, there's where the screw's made up, but we'll keep it down about here. It's just a drastically longer clip, and not that that's bad. It doesn't interfere, sticks out of your pocket very little. That's a good thing. But I believe they should have made it longer for the simple reason that this is the hands down tightest clip I've ever seen. Even in comparison to my Kara's Customs, if you've seen that review, I've ranted about this clip, which is, you know, milled, so there's no flex to it anyway, but this clip's titanium, and it doesn't budge. I mean, you can get it in a pocket, but I always have to lift and then slide it down in there. And just to give you a look with some paper here, it's quite a feat. And when you do get it down in there, here's the next thing I dislike. Once you have it in there and it's rubbing up against your pocket all day, it's going to start shredding it because of this ridiculously textured G10. I'm going to try to get her super close up just to show you just how textured this is. So you can see not only is it a diamond pattern, but there's smaller texturing inside each of the diamonds. This is a very textured knife. So that, in addition with this super tight clip, specifically that point where it touches, it's just going to tear your jeans to shreds. I hate this clip. I really, really wish they could have done something else with this, and I'm probably going to look for an aftermarket clip because that would just about make this knife perfect to me, or as perfect as it can get without any heavy modification. Next up, just two more things really on the bad list, mostly a good knife, is the blade thickness. This is a super thick blade. Go ahead and pull out the CRK2 Fulcrum again here. Just to put them side by side there, you can see this is a much thicker blade. It's actually closer in thickness, a little thicker than, actually, your attack force. So the blade stock's ridiculous. It's insane. It's hard to, in between that and the lack of piercing, you trying to punch through anything with this is gonna take quite a lot of force. And on here, you have a swedge to help with that. A lot better blade shape for piercing as well. But it just makes it hard. Now, granted, there's a pretty large grind here so slicing tasks aren't really affected too terribly by that. But it's worth mentioning. Next up, and the last thing really, is going to be the warranty. Kizer knives have a kind of mediocre warranty in that you can't disassemble the knife and then warranty it. That's against their warranty. Not allowed to disassemble it. They also mentioned using like a screwdriver. If you're using a nearly $100 knife like a screwdriver, you have other problems to worry about than warranting your knife. But the fact that you can't disassemble this is just terrible, because this is a beautiful knife, and if I couldn't maintain it, I'd be very irritated. Also, while we're speaking about the warranty and disassembly, you'll notice this pivot. If any of you have any idea if there's a tool to remove this that isn't proprietary, please leave a comment, link, anything, because the rest of these are all Torx T6. But that, I have no idea what on earth the hell that thing is. But it just stops you from disassembling this knife in addition to the warranty. So, all in all, for a conclusion, Kizer's really impressed me with this. This is a fantastic knife, especially for the value. And I will definitely be going back to their company, and maybe even try out some other higher-end Chinese brands like B Knives or things like that. So, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and keep an eye out for my next video. Thanks, guys.